So let's talk P. Diddy. P. Diddy let his bad habits cost him. His bad habits may have cost him. So we all know that you're innocent until proven guilty. Again, you're innocent until proven guilty, but it's a lot of evidence that's against him. Witnesses, employees, associates, people that have firsthand account of what you were doing and how long you were doing it. In this article, it says Sean Combs arrested in Manhattan after grand jury indictment. So that's that. It says Sean Combs, the music mogul whose career has been upended by sexual assault lawsuits and a federal investigation, was arrested at a Manhattan hotel Monday evening after a grand jury indicted him. Now, with that being said, I don't care about the conspiracy theories that they're trying to take down a black man. My only question to Diddy is this: why would you do this to yourself if you knew that people could find out about what you were doing eventually? We all know what's done in the dark comes to the light. You can't do it forever and just get away with it. So any conversation that's surrounding him being a black man and they're trying to tear him down, that's bullshit. And you know it. Because people have been saying this for years about Diddy, his freak out parties and what he was doing. People know for a fact that he had no business doing that, but he let his sexual desires overtake his real destiny, his rightful place, his path. He let the desires and the things that that control the flesh ruin him. That's what he did. The indictment is sealed and the charges were not announced, but Mark, I can't say his last name, a lawyer for Mr. Combs said he believed he was being charged with racketeering and sex trafficking. A statement from Mr. Combs' legal team said they were disappointed with the decision to prosecute him and noted that he had been cooperative with the investigation and had voluntarily relocated to New York last week in anticipation of these charges. So his legal team knew about this and they were working with the feds as well. So Sean Combs is another story of somebody that's in the entertainment industry in Hollywood, a very famous person, very wealthy, and we're seeing his downfall. All because of just bad habits, poor choices, bad judgment. And we see this a lot, man. A whole lot right now. This is the sealed indictment right here. It says United States District Court, Southern District of New York, United States of America versus Sean Combs. And now it's three counts. It's just three counts. Count one, racketeering conspiracy. As I scroll down to count two down here, so count two is sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Count three, transportation to engage in prostitution. Again, transportation to engage in prostitution, it says. So going back up to count the first count at the very top of the page here. Racketeering conspiracy. The defendant being Sean Combs abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on the employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he had led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, robbery, and obstruction of justice, it says. The defendant, being Sean Combs, operated his business headquartered at various times in Manhattan, LA, under a variety of United States based corporate entities, including Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprise, and Combs Global, it says. Corporate entities in the Combs business included, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business, a marketing agency, and a television network and media company. The defendant engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse towards women and other individuals. This abuse at times was verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity in a male commercial sex workers. At times, Combs and others acted as his direction, made arrangements for women and commercial sex workers to fly to Combs' location. Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same, and using intimidation and violence as well. The defendant was reoccurring and widely known. On numerous occasions from at least in or about 2009 and continued for years, Combs assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them, it says. Going down right here to the Combs Enterprise. The defendant, being Sean Combs, others known and unknown, were members and associates of a criminal organization, the Combs Enterprise or the Enterprise. The members and associates of the Combs Enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other activities, sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purpose of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, robbery, and obstruction of justice as well. So going down to count, I think it's count two here. Count two. Sex trafficking by force and fraud or coercion. It says the defendant in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce knowingly recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, provided, obtained, advertised, maintained, patronized, and solicited by any means a person knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that means of force, threats of force, fraud, coercion, as described in Title 18. Going down to count three here. The defendant knowingly transported an individual in interstate and foreign commerce with intent that the individual engage in prostitution. So whenever he flew somebody in and out for sex, that what that was. You can't do that. It's illegal. Again, the defendant knowingly transported an individual in interstate and foreign commerce with intent that the individual engage in prostitution and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the same to will. Combs transported, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the transportation of female victims and commercial sex workers in interstate and foreign commerce on multiple occasions with the intent that they engage in prostitution. Again, you got count three, which is transportation to engage in prostitution. Count two, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. And really, the biggest one is just count one, going back up to the beginning of this city indictment. Count one, racketeering conspiracy. So it appears that the life of Diddy as we know it is over until it goes to trial. So we don't know the outcome just yet. We don't know. But based on what we have read and what we know, it does not look good for Diddy. This really shines a light on Hollywood and just really what's going on. If he's doing it, how many more people are doing the exact same thing that we don't know about? He had been doing this for years. And there were people along the way that helped him hide it, conceal his conduct and what was really going on. If you go back to the Cassie lawsuit that was filed against him, he paid that he paid out so quickly for us being able to get that settled. And then I had read it was another incident to where somebody had told him that they had a book about him and what he had been doing, but he had to pay up $30 million. Now he did that. So right now, if you're willing to pay all this money just to keep people quiet, it's gonna be more people that go after you over and over again. So this is why the feds are on his ass right now because they're looking at, man, you're paying out all this money just to keep people quiet, so this doesn't go to trial. I think we have a case. I think we have a case. The money that he paid to Cassie, the money that he paid towards the individual that had that book about him, is people that if they have dirt against you, they will blackmail you and tell you, yo, man, this is how much money I want from you. So this does not get out. This is why the feds are on his ass. They had a videotape of this man beating Cassie in a hotel hallway, and he wasn't charged because they said that was so long ago. That was in 2016, so we can't go back there far. There was no police report against this guy ever. Cassie never went to the cops on him or nothing. So there was nothing that they could do about it. So what happened was Diddy had to settle. I also was reading about how Cassie is also talking to the Fed as well. So it's a lot of people that know things about Diddy and his life and what happened. They will talk for the right price. They will snitch. They will talk, even though they were right there with him along the way when Diddy was abusing women and men and doing all this stuff. They were right there with them until they have something that they can use against him. They will use against him to get paid. So Diddy, this is his fault. Diddy did it to himself because he was the one that was behaving this way. His conduct, the crimes that he has alleged to commit, this is his fault. All he had to do was keep his nose clean, out the way, and he could enjoy his money, his life. But we're seeing where this guy At his age, in his 50s, man, he should not be in a jail cell facing 15 years to maybe 30 years in prison. He should be out enjoying his life out somewhere on the beach somewhere just kicking it, having fun. But yet it's a bunch of people right now that got against him and they want their payday. But this is the fault of Diddy because he simply couldn't keep his nose clean. I can't imagine having that much money and I could get away. When I say get away, I means I had the opportunity to leave the US and have a better life somewhere else. Not in LA, not New York, not Florida, nowhere, not Texas, nowhere. I'm out in Vietnam, somewhere, Thailand. I have enough money to where I can leave the US and I'm good for a long time. This guy has the opportunity, and it appears that he's gonna piss it all away because of his bad habits, his desires, what was driving his ego. And here's another rich and famous person that's going down the drain off of bad habits. Just gonna throw away your wealth because of bad choices, bad decision, or judgment, and now your life is over.